Welcome at this webinar on employee experience that we're hosting as Essence. Many organizations are increasingly investing in employee experience as they realize the importance of engaged employees in delivering a great customer experience. In this webinar today, we therefore provide with a framework and a few practical client cases to refer to as an example for how you could improve your employee experience in your organization. Yeah. Historically, employee experience was often related to HR related activities. And so as you can see here, in the past also we've done a lot of employee journey projects for clients, really looking at the whole process of new employees onboarding and becoming an employee in the organization. However, as we know now, employee experience is much more than just the employee journey of becoming an employee. It is also related to the daily work, the tools you have to work with, and the interaction you have with customers to make sure that you can actually do your work properly. And that's one of the aspects that we'll look at in this webinar today, and hopefully we can provide you with a practical framework to act on that. So for that, let me go zoom out a little bit and focus on our customer experience model for a second, and then zoom in on the employee experience aspects. So in our CX management model, which you've maybe already seen, we're looking at customer experience management on different layers. So for example, we look at how can you manage your customer experience on a brand level. As a company, what do you stand for and what is the brand promise that you bring to the market? On a journey level, what is the customer journey that you really want to deliver to your customer, to your clients and customers? And on a channel level, like what are the digital channels that you interact with your customers? And this is all the different levels that customers interact with or perceive your brand or and create the customer experience for your company. However, a lot, of course, of your service delivery and your customer operations happens behind the scenes by your employees. And a lot of that is not experienced or at least interacting with your customer base. But the customers do actually perceive or experience it if the actual operations behind the scenes is not seamless. And so for us in our model, it's super important to also focus on the employee experience and the customer operations behind the scenes to deliver a great customer experience and a better employee experience at the same time. But let me go back and explain that a bit on how we see that. Yeah. Because ultimately, your employees in the teams are the ones who actually jointly create the customer experience. So before we go there, what you've seen in many organizations is that a lot of departments, marketing, sales, online, customer service, are all doing their own work and their own interaction with the customers, which quickly can lead to fragmented customer experience. What we want to do is flip that around and say, okay, if we look at the customer journey ambition, we let that drive how you organize your customer operations behind the scenes, which you can see here. Yeah? And all that is derived from a brand ambition or a strategy and brand promise that you have defined as the ambition for your company to deliver in various customer journeys for various target groups across different channels that you develop with your teams. Yeah? But all those things behind the scenes are delivered by your employee teams, and therefore it's so super important that how you organize your operations behind the scenes is aligned with what you aim to deliver to the value you aim to deliver to your customers. And this is how we see customer experience management is to look horizontally at how you connect all the departments and the teams to deliver the great seamless customer journey, but also vertically, how do you deliver your brand promise or your differentiating experience in the different channels. All delivered by your teams, of course. And there's the link to employee experience. So here we capture this in our promise framework, also the promise pyramid, linking your brand promise to your journeys, to your channels, to your operations behind the scenes. For example, as a bank, you might have a specific ambition to be the most sustainable or the most human or the most approachable or accessible bank, this might translate itself to a specific ambition, customer experience ambition for the mortgage tribe or a different tribe within that bank. And then online self-care is a channel within that. And then the people, the teams that are delivering and processing all the customer activities behind the scenes are of course important for flawless delivery of your service. So with that is basically how we come to these level of experiences that we use in our CX management framework, is to manage really those customer experience on those different levels of brand experience, journey experience, and channel experience, but also all enabled by the customer operations, which leads to a specific employee experience. And of course, it's super important for your employees to feel comfortable with how they work, to get satisfaction from their daily work, and also to be efficient in delivering the service to customers. That's great for your customer experience, but it's also great for employee experience, which, of course, increases retention of your employee workforce, saves you onboarding costs, replacement, recruitment costs, etc. So, the business case for investing in your employee experience is a no-brainer in my perspective. So then, okay, once you're convinced that this is important, how do you do that? And this is how we deliver our service this is why we offer this as part of our service offering. We focus on customer experience ambition strategy, customer journey management, research design, and also data-driven customer experience, but also the customer-centric operations and employee experience as the last component, because ultimately customer experience is delivered in the teams behind the scenes to deliver quality service to your customers. And this is where customer operations meets employee experience. Okay, so that's our customer experience framework. We say in the customer operations is where customer experience meets employee experience. And then we say, okay, actually, if employee experience is that important to deliver a great customer experience, then basically we're saying treat your employees like your customers, because it is as important to develop and invest in your workforce to deliver a great customer experience to your customers. So like we have a framework works for the customer experience efforts, it's also working for your employee experience. So if we flip our framework, we could say it's almost the same. You want to position yourselves as an employer brand to talent in the market or your own workforce. There's a journey, as we've seen in the beginning of this webinar. There's a journey for your employees as well, like applying, onboarding, but also while during your employment. There's growth opportunities and rotation opportunities and any other needs that you might have in your employment, but also the channels that you have to work with and the tools that you have to work with to actually do your work is also, of course, increasingly important. We've seen many examples in industries where the tools and the workflow and the daily work can be a major frustration and actually cause people to leave their employer, whether it's in healthcare or in banking, or there's many examples of inefficient workflow leading to frustrated employees and then leaving their employer. So that in itself is a business case for investing in a great employee experience. So if we take that a bit further, like what could that look like? So for example, for your employer branding, important to define your core values and also your purpose in your recruiting. So like when you attract new talent, but also when you want to retain your existing talent. It's like, what do you stand for as a company? Why do your employees want to stick with you? Why are they happy to work for you as a company? So that's the brand relationship, and the people are proud to work for your company. Then secondly is the employee journey, which we often call the HR perspective, because it's really the employee relationship with you as an employer. It's like, okay, what is the promise to me as an employee to work here? Like, what do I get from it? It's not just the compensation, but it's also satisfaction in the work, growth opportunities, etc. Enabling me to live the lifestyle that I want, etc., etc. So the whole employee journey is crucial to focus on as well, to make sure you invest not only in attracting people but also in retaining them. And then last but not least, it's the actual, are people happy in their day-to-day work? So it's the actual workflow. That can be the process they have to follow, but it can also be the tooling that they have to work with, and also the collaboration and way of working between teams that are three of these crucial importance to make sure that people are capable or enabled to do their work properly and come home fulfilled and satisfied from doing their work, instead of being frustrated about insufficient workflow or inappropriate tooling, etc., etc. So this is an example of what you can do. And then in the daily work, so when people do their work to deliver to customers and their customer interaction, that's of course where your employee experience meets your customer experience. Because if employees can deliver and interact with customers and help them properly, they will be happy, but the customer will also be happy. So in the customer operations is really where employee experience and customer experience meet. And therefore, to deliver a great customer experience and deliver on your promise as a company, super important to focus on the customer experience, but also on the employee experience, because ultimately, these are the people delivering the customer experience to your customer base. Okay, so summarizing, when we say often what is the business case or the results of an excellent customer experience management, of course, a great customer experience makes for loyal customers and hopefully also an increasing amount of customers. But focusing on workflow and employee experience also streamlines your internal operations and improves the collaboration between your teams, making them more effective, less mistakes, more satisfied, higher retention rates, and less attrition. And then last but not least, also it creates a sense of shared ambition in the company. So employees are more engaged and also more driven to serve your customers in the best possible way. And that sounds like a great business case to me. Okay, so then a lot of theory and a lot of background as to why employee experience is important. Now I'll show some high-level client cases that we've done to show how this can work. And basically for this, we'll follow our framework to show also here some different examples on different layers. So first of all, when you introduce yourself as a company or brand yourself as an employer brand, it's important, we've done a few cases there. One of them is at Schiphol. And it's important to really understand, what is it that we offer as an employee? So a couple of years ago, we did a whole customer lifecycle project here. And then within that, we defined a set of profiles of types of types of employees, and the type of work that they do in this company. And then also took the core values of the company there, and the behaviors that go with that. And that this is what we did to define the ambition of employee life cycle. What is the type of employee journey that we want for our employee workforce. And this really helped as a framework to identify key gaps and opportunities to improve the employee experience along the whole life cycle. So all the way from recruitment to working there for 5 or 10 years or even longer. So that's really to drive as the strategic direction of who do we want to be as a company for our employees, and what is the proposition that we have to talent and to in the market to come and work here. Then of course there's the journey when you work there, when you work in a company. And here's an example of that we did with Rabobank, and that's the whole employee journey, focusing primarily on the onboarding. So this is, for example, the first 100 days. What does it look like to really start here, get onboarded, your first job, and also what are the types of roles that people have and what do they expect from that. So here we looked at mapping out all the needs along the whole different phases in the employee journey. What are the opportunities for improving, and also defining a set of profiles for different types of professional roles in the organization, to then identify concept solutions for the opportunities that we identified, and then planning a roadmap with the HR departments on which things to address first. And then of course also put them live and validate and experiment to see if they work, and then take it from there. And the same we did with the other case that I just showed at Schiphol, but there we took a bit of a wider perspective. So whereas one of them is focusing on the first 100 days, for example, to really focus on the onboarding experience. This one is actually focusing on the entire life cycle. So for pre-hire, but also even exit interviews for alumni. And so this life cycle can take 5 to 10 years even, although on average probably 3 to 4 or 5 years or maybe 10. Yeah. Then that's the employee journey, and then of course then there's the daily work. So far we've done, okay, what is it like being an employee? So why did I join here? And also, what is my employee journey like? And then, but on a day-to-day basis is of course, like, what does my work look like? Do I actually get satisfaction and joy in my work, in my daily work? And this is where the digital or non-digital workflow comes in. And here's an example of a project with Randstad where we identify digital opportunities to improve digital tools for the, not for the customer, but for the employees, to match vacancies and also talent applying for these roles. And so we did a lot of interviews there also to understand what are the needs that these consultants have, what makes their daily work complicated, and what are the improvements that we can make. Yeah. So we did a lot of experiments and improvements to design those and validate them in the market. And then last but not least, there's the actual customer operations in which employees do their daily work behind the scenes. And so it's less about only the digital tools they have to work, but also the customer interaction that they're doing on a daily basis. And here's an example of IKEA where we are working with their fulfillment teams. So they have no customer interaction directly, but it's basically in the warehouse. Different roles identified of people doing different activities in different roles, mapping out the whole blueprint of all the handlings that different roles in the organization have to do, and where are the bottlenecks in areas for improvement to enable better collaboration between colleagues. Again, there's no customer interaction here, but it's just more flawless and efficient delivery, and also happier employees because it makes their work easier. Yeah. And a similar thing we've done for Otrium, where we mapped out the whole onboarding process for their B2B clients. And so we identified, and this is a bit more focused on the actual process optimization. It's like, where can we identify areas for improvement to make the daily work for employees more efficient and easier. And here we've also been able to achieve significant efficiency gains. Of course, making for happier employees, but also cost saving for the company itself. So yeah, commercial or cost efficiency and employee experience, in my belief, even though you have to invest in it, it goes hand in hand in the long term. Yeah. So yeah, lots of examples on how to improve your customer experience. In any case, whether it's on a brand level or an employee journey level, or really on a detailed level with the digital tools that employees have to use, in any of these cases, it's important to look at the entire perspective of what employees have to do and identify the key employee insights, opportunities, and then improve solutions and validate them with employees. And as you can see, this is no different, hardly any different from how you interact with how you try to improve your customer experience. It's also mapping out all the needs in the customer journey, improving, iterating, and putting it live, validating, and iterating again. And it's the same almost like employee experience. So we are a big fan of treating your employees like your customers, and also working from a journey perspective the same way, working with your employees to improve the whole experience. So yeah, wrapping it up, that's basically a good summary, I think, of how our framework works, and also a few practical client cases for how it can work. Of course, every project is different, and all your dynamics in each organization is different. So, but there are a few generic takeaways that we can provide. First, we say treat your employees like your customers, like you treat your customers, and employee experience really requires like an end-to-end employee journey perspective, and then prioritizing where to improve and which areas are in a good shape, and just like you prioritize in your customer journey. Focus on employee workflow and needs when internal tools are selected. So often we see that in employee experience, many digital tools and platforms are already pre-selected, only to find out later that actually it's not really fit for purpose. So we say, okay, really make sure that when you work with new digital platforms and new different tools internally, make sure that you also upfront make sure that it actually enables the teams to do their work properly, and instead of realizing after the fact that it was not the right tool that was selected. Because typically they are selected for technical requirements and pricing, but ultimately your employees have to work with these tools. So making that part of the tool selection is a smart way to go about it. And then last but not least, customer operations is where EX meets CX. And so make sure that also when you streamline your backstage, when you really try to optimize your operational excellence behind the scenes, it's important to take a customer journey perspective and understand all the different teams internally, what their workflow is and how you can streamline the employee experience and their efficiency hand in hand to achieve a cost saving and efficiency gain and also an uplift in employee experience. Yeah, so that's it in a nutshell. Of course, we can explain more in a personal follow-up. So if you're interested in any of these areas, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to explain you a bit more about how this could work. So thank you for joining this webinar. If you want to learn more or follow us more, you can check out our website and videos that are on there, or follow me on LinkedIn or Essence on LinkedIn. And we continue to post useful content and events if you're interested to learn more. So hope to see you there. And thank you for attending this webinar.